Hi, this is a bit of a different lesson today. Today I'm not going to be doing an English lesson, I'm going to be doing a Russian lesson as I understand the cases. If anyone wants to learn Russian, I suggest that they go to the Russian channel which I link to below, because the best way to learn these cases is through repetition. This is just to give people, if they're interested, my understanding of the cases, so a foreigner's understanding of the cases. Perhaps not the best way to learn them. But I hope that it helps some, perhaps English speakers, perhaps not, perhaps other people, to kind of understand, especially if you don't have cases in your own language. You know, some languages do. I think German has case endings, and I believe Latin had case endings. Perhaps Turkish as well, I'm not sure, but you will then probably understand a bit more about cases. But I don't think English people have any idea what case endings are. Unless they've learnt a language with cases. So what are case endings? Well, there are 6 cases: subjective, accusative, genitive, dative, instrumental, locative. Subjective is sometimes called nominative as well, because it's the naming case, it's the subject of the sentence. Remember, in English we always write our sentences in the word order: subject, verb, object. Well, in Russian they don't have to. As long as the subjective case ending, and by ending I mean the last few letters on the word, as long as it's in the subjective case, you can see it's the subject, so you can even put it at the end of the sentence and put the object at the start and the verb in the middle. So you can say something like Меня зовут, I'm certain you know this sentence. Меня зовут Dave. Okay, Меня зовут Dave. Now look at that sentence. Really, you're saying me, they call Dave. That is they call. That's the ending for a they form. They call. They call me Dave. In English you must say they. The subject of the sentence is they. Here they just haven't put Ani zovut меня Dave. They haven't decided to put the ani. They don't need to, because the verb is clearly a they form verb. So they call me Dave. That's what that sentence really says. But they can play with the word order, and they can just say me, they call Dave. Yeah, they can play with the word order, because it's very clear that this word is not in the subjective case. It's in the accusative case. Well, the accusative case is complicated, because if it's masculine and accusative, you have to ask yourself another question. You have to ask yourself, is it animate or inanimate? If it's inanimate, it's just the same as the subjective. But I am alive, I am animate, and so I have to use the genitive case instead of accusative when it's masculine. It's very confusing, but true. Inanimate accusative, no change, same as subjective. Animate accusative, and you have to move down to a genitive case and say Меня зовут Dave. Okay, so I want you to remember that this is how I see it anyway. S is the subject of the sentence. Subjective case is subject. Okay? Accusative case is actually very often the object. Let me give you 2 examples. Я читаю. Now, book, the word book in the subjective case is kniga, but we don't want to use it in the subjective case. We want to use it in the accusative case as the object of the verb. So we've changed kniga to knigu. Ja czytаю knigu. Okay? Let's look at another feminine noun. I won't look at masculine, because masculine and animate don't change. But feminine nouns do change, so let's have a look at I listen to music. Я слушаю, музыку. Я слушаю музыку. Again, it must end in an U, because this is the object of the sentence. And the object is usually accusative. Not always, there are exceptions with a few verbs. Some of them quite regular as well, like. But I'll talk about that later. Genitive case is the of case. Or it shows possession, so anytime you've got that apostrophe S. If I say John's passport, for example. John's passport. How do we say John's passport? We just say, they often put the verb, the noun first. Can't remember if it's 2 S's or 1 in Russian. Sorry if it's 2, I'm not sure. Passport John. Now we need an ending. Let's look over here. We need the genitive ending, because this is the passport of John. It's John's passport, passport John. Okay, so you need to add the A because John is masculine. But if you want to say it's my sister's passport, passport sestry. Sestry. Passport sestry. It's my, and if you want to say my sister's passport, moyej sestry. Passport moyej sestry. Yeah, you need to learn those my forms separately, but they also agree with the case endings. So there are many different ways of saying my, just like there are many different forms of the word sister. Okay, so I hope you can see that genitive is of. Another thing to remember is 2, 3 and 4. These numbers require the genitive singular, which again is very strange. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are genitive plural, but these 2, 3 and 4 are genitive singular. So if you want to say I have 2 sisters, u меня 2 сестры, u меня 2 сестры, or u меня 2 книги, I have 2 books, u меня 2 книги. Okay? But if it's a masculine noun, let's say I have 2 newspapers. У меня 2 журнала. 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 Remember to try and roll your R's. Журнала. У меня 2 журнала. Or у меня 2 стола. I have 2 tables. У меня 2 стола. У меня 2 брата. I have 2 brothers. Now, unfortunately, it's not easy to know when the stress is on the a, stola, and when it's not on the a, brata. But it's one thing you just have to learn. Okay, so 2, 3 and 4 are genitive, and of is genitive singular. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 genitive plural. Dative, I like to think of as 2. Why? Because it's kind of when you walk to someone, go to someone, not always. Could be accusative, but definitely with certain verbs. You give something to someone, dat kamu, give to kamuta, give to someone. So this verb, dat, is all, when you want to put an object on that verb, it's not accusative, it's dative. So, ja dal, let's try and think, ja dal milicionero, my passport. Yeah, I gave the policeman my passport. Ja dal milicionero. I don't know if I've spelled that right, sorry if I haven't. But it will have an u on the end because u is the dative masculine ending and milicionero is masculine. Okay, so I think of it as I gave to the policeman. Ja dal milicionero knigu. Yeah, I gave the policeman a book. I gave the policeman a book, and this is the accusative ending because what did you give? This is the object. This is the this is one object. This is the other object of the verb to give. But this is I gave to the policeman a book. So the book must be in the accusative. Okay. But you could say I gave my sister, and if it's sister, it's siestrie. Feminine goes to ye, siestrie. I gave ja dal mojej siestrie knigu. Again, I gave her a book. Okay? So giving, not only giving though, ringing someone, calling. Now I know we don't say call to, ring to, but you can see that it's still to someone. So da, zvonit, promise, speak to someone, say to someone, skazat. All of these verbs are dative. So just kind of build up a list of verbs in your mind which are dative. And it's usually when you call to someone, give to someone, promise to someone, say to someone, explain to someone. These words are dative. Okay? Last 2 tenses are much easier. Let's relax a little bit. I say they're much easier because prepositions make them easier. The preposition for instrumental is the with case. It's all about with. If you just want to say I was with my friend, ja byl s drugom, s mojim drugom. Okay? Because drug in subjective goes to drugom, drugom. Я был с другом. If you want to say with friends, then you need to use the plural form, с друзьями. It changes a little bit in the plural. But with singular masculine, с другом. I was with my sister. Я был с моей сестрой. Сестры. With this ending. O and then a thingy with a hat. So instrumental is the with case. Okay? That's what I want you to remember. Just remember, instrumental is with. Very similar to with anyway. This last one, prepositional or locative. It's called locative because it's all about location. When you're in or on or in or on something. So remember v and na. I'll probably get it wrong if I try and tell you I was in or at in different places. Ja byl na ulici or v fabryce. This tense is always yeah, masculine or feminine or neuter, which makes it pretty easy. But yeah, it's ja byl na pojezdě, ja byl v aeroportu. There are always some exceptions, there really are. But v and na are locative. Also o. O means about, and they say think about, talk about, yeah, dumat or сказал or on сказал мне or I don't know, something or other. But after these words, always use locative. Okay, just always use locative. This is a prepositional case, so many prepositions take this case, and it's just yeah and yeah. So really, you just need to remember accusative for the object, genitive for possessives and 2, 3, 4, and plurals, you know, other numbers as well. Dative for a few verbs, giving, ringing to somebody. I still like to think of it as 2. Very often that helps me. But giving to somebody, calling to somebody, explaining to somebody, saying to somebody, then we use dative. Instrumental for with, and locative for these prepositions. Prepositional is sometimes what it's translated as. Okay, I hope that that's clear. Please ask questions under the video. I hope I can help because obviously I'm not a native speaker and I'm not an expert, but this is just how I understand it. There are lots of exceptions, like always with languages. It makes it difficult. You've got these soft endings, which I've put here in brackets, makes it a little more difficult. And you just have to learn sometimes that certain verbs take certain cases. So a good example is I like. If you want to say I like football, you need to put the I, instead of ya, you need to use mnie, because the word like, nравится, they say to me is liked. It's a really strange way of saying it. To me is liked football. Yeah, мне нравится football. So you have to put the I, and if you want to say they like, you have to put it as im nравится, because this is the dative form of they, instead of ani, im. Okay, I hope that's handy. If you're interested and it's useful, please like the video and I'll make some more. Thanks a lot.